Welcome back to Premside Pod, episode 5. As you guys can tell, we are not together, unfortunately. Boss has got the Chelsea flag, and I'm repping my Antonio Conte scarf from different homes. But we are together. We are going to be talking footy, a lot about the North London Derby, and then some stuff came out today about Player of the Season nominees, Young Player of the Year, Manager of the Year. So we're going to get into that as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot to unpack from this previous match day, but let's get straight into it. North London Derby, massive game, so much on the line for both teams, Tottenham and Arsenal. Going into this game, 4 points apart, now only one. This top four race just can't get more interesting. It's really going down to the wire. Jaffe, talk
Look,
about it.
I mean, I was so happy with the win. Of course, it would have been terrible for Arsenal to qualify for UCL against us at our home. But it was a bit of an anticlimax, in my opinion. The game was killed in the first 25 minutes. And the key for me in that game, the first 25 minutes, Heung-Min Son, his movement, first winning the penalty, and then the 2 yellow cards on holding, and that essentially killed the game. Son got his goal in the end. Only 1 goal behind Salah 2 now for Golden Boot, which is another cool headline. But yeah, it was just a perfect result. What did you think from a neutral?
Aside from a great result for Tottenham, it was also a game of controversy. I think you look at Rob Holding with that red card, and for those of you who saw, Arteta had a very, very, very frustrated post-match interview. Arteta said, "If I speak what I think, I'm fined. I'm gone for 6 months."
Yeah,
he was blaming the refs. It seems like that Arsenal, camp is really not happy with it. With what's happening. And when we talk about, what this means for both teams, it's going to be really hard for them. They're neck and neck, a point apart. You look at Tottenham's remaining fixtures with Burnley and Norwich, whereas Arsenal's playing the likes of Newcastle, Everton. It's tricky, but, going back and talking about my thoughts on this game, Tottenham smashed it. They came out with some great energy, high pressing, by the way. We saw Kane almost scored a great goal when he nutmegged Gabriel. Tottenham was all over them. They probably could have scored more. There was another instance, where Kane gave Emerson Royal an incredible cross, and Ramsdale came to save Arsenal yet again. But, I think this game definitely showed that there's a great there's a great gap in quality between the two teams. One under Antonio Conte, who one could argue is almost like a finished product. Next year, really excited to see what they do. Whereas Arsenal, we saw Tomiyasu playing on the left, whereas he's normally on the right. A lot of it consistently there. Cedric never really settled into the game. You look at Lacazette, probably on the way out this summer. Martinelli failed to make an impact. Saka almost went completely quiet. I think these teams, they're just at completely different spots at this stage in the season. This match really just brought that to light.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal had their fair share of injuries, and they're gonna have some massive issues in the back now with Holding with his red. Ben White is coming back from injury, but
was that a red, Jaffe? Was it a red?
Look, of course it was a red. Like, in my opinion, it wasn't close, but
I think Arteta would disagree with you.
Yeah, and back to that, I mean, like, I think to come to our home, the atmosphere was just unbelievable. They got thrashed, and he was salty. It's not a good sight to see from a young manager who has an exciting young team that he's building, and you want to focus on your team, and that's what Conte was saying post game. He was saying, "Look, Arteta's a great manager, but he complains a lot. Like, it's all these managers." And I have to say, Klopp too. I've started to despise Jurgen Klopp. Like, in his post game interviews, it's all just everyone laughing with Klopp, like funny, witty Klopp. And then when things don't go his way, they melt down, these managers.
He gets frustrated. Definitely exciting to see what the future holds for this North London derby. I think this match really could start, a really heated rivalry, really reinvigorate that rivalry like we haven't seen in a while. But I do think Arteta has some basis for his frustrations. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that like he's right. I think Holding, very poor. Arguably could have had 3 yellow cards before the red even came in. Like he really like Holding was really reckless throughout that game. And the fact that he's just shoving his elbow out there while, players ahead of him, it's poor defending, honestly. It's poor defending. And then I think when Arteta goes and attacks the refs for that game. By the way, I thought the refs were actually great that game. I thought it was
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. There was no issues for me with
There was
that.
no issues, but what are the repercussions of this? What does it mean for the top four race? As I said earlier, in terms of strengths of schedule, Arsenal really has a much tougher final 2 games. First off, against Newcastle, really exciting Newcastle team. I'm a big fan of Eddie Howe. We'll mention that later in the podcast. But that's an exciting Newcastle team finishing for a 10th place finish. There's a lot they have to look forward to. In addition, the final game of the season against Everton. Unclear how significant that might be for Everton now, given like the status of the relegation battle. But nonetheless, a team in form, beat Chelsea. Richarlison's flying. They've gotten some good results under their belt now. It seems like Frank Lampard is finally getting that team in order. Whereas Tottenham, I think it's a steamroll. I think they're going to march to the finish line against Burnley, Norwich. Norwich already relegated. Burnley, still fighting, but nonetheless, like I said, the gap in quality is crazy.
No, yeah, I think for me, a huge part of this top four race is gonna come down to the actual relegation battle itself, because you're gonna see Burnley are gonna need a result against us, and if Everton are in a position where they don't need a win in the final match week, that game could be ugly for them. So I don't know. We need Everton to keep dropping points and essentially win that last game against Arsenal. But I don't know. Like it's not really in our hands at this point. We did everything we could. We beat Arsenal. We stayed in the race, and yeah, we're gonna need Arsenal to drop at least 1 point.
Well, for those of you who watch NBCSN, like me and Jaffe do, the two Robbies, Robbie Earl and Robbie Mustoe, the two commentators, when they were both asked who they thought was going to finish in 4th place, they actually picked Tottenham. And I agree, because even though, points wise, it isn't in your favor, you are still a point behind them. I think football is a game of momentum. And Tottenham's playing some incredible football right now. Whereas Arsenal, like Arteta made it very clear, he's going into that locker room, he's voicing out his frustrations. Things are not steady there. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. And by the way, didn't even mention this earlier, but Nuno Tavares not started being benched over, Tomiyasu, who got the start. Things are shaky in that Arsenal dressing room, and they don't have easy games coming up. I think I have to agree with the two Robbies. I'm going to put Tottenham in 4th place. I just think in terms of like they have the more optimal schedule. They're in the better form. I'd back them to get the job done.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. I think it's going to be a matter of can we just tough it out? Can we beat the 2 teams that we're expected to beat? And then hope Arsenal drop points.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Moving on to another really exciting fixture this weekend, FA Cup final, Chelsea Liverpool. Absolutely massive game. As a Chelsea fan, really hoping we can get some revenge for that League Cup final loss. Painful memories of Kepa absolutely skying that pen. Hopefully we can level the score this week and take ourselves an FA Cup victory. Especially, last year we were unlucky against Leicester. I think Chelsea has a bit of a chip on our shoulder in this competition. We're really excited to see what's happening. But then also, both sides probably not going to come in with their best 11s. We've seen Fabinho is injured. And then also Kovacic picked up a nasty knock with a ridiculous Daniel James tackle, by the way, against Leeds. But, Jaffe, what do you think?
I mean, Kovacic, if he's out, I'm a huge fan of him, and I think he's your best midfielder. You guys are a different team with him versus without him, and I think Conte also couldn't not feature as well. He might be a doubt, so you could be seeing like a midfield of Jorginho and like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which against Thiago, Jordan Henderson, and probably Naby Keita, I think you guys could struggle in that area.
But what about the resurgence of Lukaku, though? 3 goals in his past 2 games.
Yeah, and you got
He's
to
finding
expect
his
Lukaku
feet,
to get the
finally.
start. What was that?
I said it looks like he's finding his feet in the Prem. I think he could be given the nod ahead of Kai Havertz potentially.
I don't know. I prefer Kai, just the way Chelsea play, but I think Lukaku, he kind of he has these moments in these game spans where he kind of gets on fire, and then he has a huge slump. And I think you guys just can't afford to have that with your number 9.
Agreed, but I think we've seen throughout the course of the season that Lukaku plays his best football when Hakeem Ziyech is in the side. His
Yeah,
his crossing, I think, on his day is second to none in the league. It's a bold statement. You can disagree with me if you want, but I'm gonna put it out there. And we've seen countless times Hakeem just feeding Lukaku, burying those goals. I think if there's a player that Thomas Tuchel should trust with this final, it's Hakeem Ziyech. For me, my dream front three is a Mason Mount, Lukaku, is Ziyech front three.
yeah,
I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of pace there.
I would like that. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Pulisic. Scored this past weekend, but I really want to see Hakeem
Yeah,
get
so
some quality.
you're leaving out Timo.
I'm
Kai.
leaving out Timo.
Yeah.
Listen, Timo's had some bright spots this season. Played very well against Real Madrid in the second leg, but I know I think it's what best because I think when you look at Lukaku, who's like a proper target man, because Kai is not a target man like that. Lukaku, he's a bully. He's able to hold off the ball well. He can get open space. He can bully people. He can score those headers, and Hakeem complements him perfectly. And the
Yeah,
way Mount's playing, I think Mount's virtually undroppable at this point.
yeah,
But
you can't drop Mount in a final, and I think it'll be a statement for Tuchel to play him after Mount was kind of the villain for you guys,
Mhm.
in the Carabao Cup final, missing just, like, 2 or 3 huge chances, so,
Definitely, definitely. And then
you gotta trust Mason.
and then now shifting our attention towards Liverpool. Luis Diaz, does he get to start in the final?
I mean, I think so. I think he's gonna start in the Champions League final for sure, but I don't know, tactically, I think you wanna go with pace here against Chelsea's back line.
Definitely, definitely. I'm looking at this Chelsea back line. As we know, we've struggled a little bit this season. You know, show out for the longest time. Marcus Alonso, always a little bit nervous with him in the squad especially against top teams. His defending's never really been quite there. And then when I look at like the center backs, yes, we have Thiago, world class, and we do have Rudiger, who's able, to help out with the pace. The right on Reece James, of course, but definitely, I expect to see a lot of Liverpool really pressing on that left-hand side of our defense with Marcus Alonso. And then, of course, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the side, not nearly as pacey or, as forward-thinking as Kovacic, for example. And defensively, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho, it's worrying because as we know, Jorginho, not the most physical, not the paciest, really just likes to, give a pass. He's amazing through balls, but defensively kind of relies on a Conte to cover him a little bit. So the midfield for Chelsea is definitely looking a little bit shaky. But overall, I think it should be a really exciting final. I have to back my Blues, though. I think, both times this season, Chelsea and Liverpool have played to draws, exciting draws at that. I back my Blues. I'm gonna go with a very nervy 1-0 win.
I like that. I don't think there're gonna be so many goals. I could see a 1-0 win for Chelsea for sure. I think we're gonna see extra time again, maybe penalties.
I think so.
Um, I'm backing Chelsea. I think Liverpool are gonna finish the year with 1 trophy. When everyone was saying they could win the quadruple,
Wow.
I think they'll end with 1. Like, I don't think it's so bold.
You back Real Madrid to get it done in the Champions League
Of course,
final?
they haven't come this far to lose in the final.
Real Madrid in flying form, just to digress a little bit, 6-0 win over at Levante the weekend. Vinny Jr. bagging
Yeah,
a hat
yeah.
trick. That Real Madrid team is exciting, exciting to say the least. Also, this week a lot of big announcements. The Premier League Manager of the Year nominees are out. A bunch of top managers on that list. Jaffe, who's your pick?
Look, I was so happy to see Patrick Vieira on there, and I think seeing I went to NYCFC games for the longest time. I had season tickets, and he was a horrible manager on NYCFC. We were horrible with him, and now to see him doing it in the Premier League, what he's done with Palace, the youth he's developed, Tyreek Mitchell, Gahey, Conor Gallagher, Olise, Eze. I mean, actually the list goes on,
Mhm.
um, and I think they've just been incredible.
They've been really strong. No doubt Patrick Vieira is doing an absolutely smashing job with that Crystal Palace team. But for me, my pick is Eddie Howe. And
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
listen, a lot's happened with Eddie Howe this year. He inherited the world's richest club right after that Saudi takeover, but he had a lot of critics. Even the former Newcastle manager Steve Bruce, he even said like, why is he the man for this job? He was relegated with Bournemouth, but he's done a fantastic job with this Newcastle team. Just to break down his accomplishments, he's taken like a relegation battle team to a potentially 10th place finish, top up table, exciting there. Joe Elliott's in a few last year we thought he was one of the biggest flops in the Prem. He's a class midfielder. They're getting the job done. That team is flying right now. So much quality in that squad. Yes, they made good and they made. The thing is also they made great transfers in January with Bruno coming in. Colin Wilson's reemerging now after his injury. John Joe Shelby's looking pretty good. And by the way, the fact that they've done it without Kieran Trippier and Wilson is a huge testament to Eddie Howe.
Yeah,
Huge
absolutely. I mean,
testament.
they've been playing Emil Kraft
Mhm.
on the right. He's I don't love him, but Target's done well on the left. Yeah, it's a solid side, and I think I really doubted the signings they made. Um, like Trippier, I thought was a great signing, and Bruno, of course, but Chris Wood, and I
Mhm.
think Wood's still struggling a bit. Target, I wasn't so convinced about. Dan Burn, but Dan Burn's been great too. So yeah, I think Eddie Howe's a great pick, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what this Newcastle team can do.
Definitely building a case. And then, of course, there's the obvious mentions of Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, Pep. It would have to be Pep out of the two, but the argument for Pep is that look, he's about to win his fourth Premier League title in 5 years. That's dominance in the Premier League,
That is
and I
dominant.
think the Premier League right now is considered the most competitive league in the world, and the fact that Pep's doing this, just dominating this league, like, I don't care that he hasn't won a UCL. Like, it doesn't. I don't. There's no doubt in my mind that Pep Guardiola is a phenomenal manager, and the success he's brought to City has been incredible. It's not that UCL is obviously they want it to complete to add to the trophy cabinet, but you have to respect Pep Guardiola and what he's just been doing the past few years.
I agree, Premier League is sheer dominance, but something that I feel like that's come up a lot, when talking about Pep Guardiola's legacy with the City team is, is the elephant in the room that he hasn't won a single Champions League. He didn't win a Champions League with a stacked Bayern side either. And, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the topic here at question, but the way I'm looking at it is what do you think is the harder trophy to win, the Champions League or the Premier League?
Yeah, it's the Premier League. Like it has to be because you're playing 38 games, and that shows who that's a real testament to who you are as a side. There's luck involved in the Champions League. I mean,
Definitely. Look at
Spurs made
Liverpool's
the
run.
Champions League final. Come on,
Uh-huh.
like I love my Spurs, but
Mhm.
like there was some luck in that run of like
Definitely, and, even with my Chelsea team as well, getting Porto so late in the competition was lucky. Liverpool, look at them, like, yes, some good sides, but with Inter being the hardest team they've faced, round of 16, definitely luck involved there. I agree, though. I think the Premier League, there's just so much intensity. It's 38 tough, grueling teams, and as we've seen, even the relegation sides have the ability to make an upset. So yeah, definitely an interesting point to talk about for Pep Guardiola. And then also, quick nod to Thomas Frank, done an excellent job with his Brentford team. Yeah, looks like I think they're going to be comfortably staying up, and definitely a good job for him. But I think Eddie Howe's my pick. I really just think he's had a great turnaround, and I'm impressed with what he's done. Also,
yeah.
young players of the year coming out this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Really,
Your
really
Mason
excited.
Mount nominated again. I feel like it's for the last few years, it's really been like the same names we see: Mount, Foden, Trent.
Mhm.
Uh, some new names though: Connor Gallagher, Tyreek Mitchell, um, Ramsdale's in there, Declan Rice, and Saka. So who would you go with?
It's exciting. I think I have to go with Mason Mount. He's the obvious pick. He really is. Statistically, 11 goals, 10 assists on the season. Undroppable for Chelsea, as we've said. So influential. I think statistically, the stats speak for themselves, but if you just talk about dominance and influence in the Prem this year, it has to go to Mason Mount. But then yet again, Mason Mount's an older player. I think he's 23, whereas Saka and Saka, there are players like Saka who are on the younger side, as well as Tyreek Mitchell. So
Yeah.
that's also been a bit of like a critique of mine with the award for the past couple of years. Like I remember, like I think Raheem Sterling won it when he was like 25 or something. Like,
Yeah.
like the qualifications for that award are definitely a little bit iffy. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah, he's
don't know. I think I think if you're just going off like who's been the best player this year on that list, you have to go with Trent. But I feel like it's a little boring to give it to Trent.
mhm.
My pick, I'm gonna go with Declan Rice. I think he's just been the glue in that West Ham team. They're really like nothing without him. And I think they just offered him like an 8-year. Did you see that? They offered him an 8-year contract.
I saw this. I mean,
They're trying to trap him forever. I mean,
but
like,
but that West Ham team has potential to really build something there.
yeah, yeah, with Bowen, but
Mhm,
I don't know.
mhm.
I think
It
Rice will
might be
sit down.
best for him to move on.
Yeah, I think
I'd
it.
love to see Declan Rice in it getting some Champions League football. That'd be amazing for him.
Yeah, it would. Where
Amazing.
would he go? Like, he's been linked with United, Chelsea.
He's been linked with Chelsea heavily.
Yeah,
We'll see if we can get him. The new owner, Todd Bowley, promised to spend 2 billion, at least reinvesting in the club. And that's always great to see from an owner, someone that's taking an active role. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. Just to touch on the other players on list, Tyreek Mitchell, left back, England debut this year, huge for him. Connor Gallagher. I think if personally, I think if Mason Mount and Trent weren't in this, I'd actually give it to Connor Gallagher. Because for me, he embodies like he's a fresh identity. He's basically a rookie. Like he's busted onto the scene. Yes, he had West Brom, last year, but he really took it up a notch this year. Tyreek Mitchell, interesting enough, actually won Crystal Palace's Young Player of the Season over Connor Gallagher. Just a fun note to add. But great players. But I think I have to give it to Mason here. I just think when you just talk about influence on the Premier League, who's the better player overall, I'm gonna give it to Mason.
yeah,
But
Mason Mount, no bias there.
then, yeah.
No, no bias there. I mean, I think Trent's gonna win it, and I think he deserves it. But
he,
again, a little
he
bit
has
of
he has a great case for it. I mean,
yeah,
look at his assists this season. He's at the forefront of that. When you think of Liverpool, Trent's one of the first names that comes up. He's
yeah,
integral. He's integral to that side. And without Trent in that Liverpool team, they're a completely different identity. So
yeah.
both.
That also like kind of just tells you how good Trent is when
Definitely,
we're saying like he shouldn't even be in this conversation with young players. Like Trent is already an established player.
definitely.
Um, yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see who wins it. Let's get to a few comments. We got a few comments. Uh, Zach goes, "Kid on the left. What are your thoughts on Paul Pogba's situation at Man United?" Look, Pogba, I think he's gonna go. I think we're gonna see him go to like maybe PSG, but I don't know. I can't see him fitting in with Ten Hag. Uh, he's too much of a personality there, and I think we see free flowing football with Ten Hag. So I think Pogba's days at United are probably over. What do you think, Adam?
What I'm thinking about is Pogba and Verratti playing alongside.
Yeah,
That is exciting, but I agree also. I think Ten Hag's he's really gonna, have like I think when he comes into United, he's gonna want a whole identity overhaul. He's gonna switch up that locker room. And Pogba being the personality he is, he's kind of struggled under managers. He obviously had that huge rift with Mourinho. I think it's best for him to start over and go to PSG. That's gonna be a
yeah,
great fit for him.
I'm in agreement. And then one more question, serious question. What do Spurs need to do to win a trophy soon? Look, it's coming. I promise you, the trophy is coming. Antonio Conte, he is building something special with this team. We saw how good we were against Arsenal and teams that we've been so good against this year. City, we beat 2 draws against Liverpool. So I think we're going to see a trophy soon. I think the drought's going to end.
That should definitely be exciting. Also, another interesting rumor I've come across is Frankie De Jong to Manchester United. That's
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
blasphemy. Don't think that's gonna happen. I'm pretty
You
sure he's I'm
don't.
pretty sure he's come out and denied himself. player of that quality. He's hungry for Champions League football. And yeah, I think United is almost a step backwards in his career at this point.
I mean, yeah, potentially. I think United have secured Europa now, or I think they just need a point in their
Mm.
last match. But I don't know. That could be so exciting to see him on that team with the reunion with Ten Hag. Maybe De Ligt goes too. Um, De Ligt and Varane could be a
I'd
fright
love to
duo.
see De Ligt on Chelsea. If you talk about a team that really needs
Yeah,
a serious investment, it's Chelsea in the back this summer. We've mentioned this so many times. Chelsea, they're bound for an overhaul. Rudiger out, Christensen most likely out, Aspie 100% out. And I've been so critical of Malang Sarr all year. He should not be starting. If we can get De Ligt in that Chelsea team, that would be exciting. In addition to Jules Koundé. Fingers
yeah.
crossed. Fingers
You
crossed.
guys, you guys definitely got to reinforce there.
Mhm,
Before the FA Cup final, you can't do anything tomorrow, but
mhm.
got to work with what you guys have. It's going to be
Exactly.
interesting,
It's gonna be an exciting end to the season.
definitely. Um,
Anyways, thank you guys for joining us.
yeah,
Premside
gonna
Pod
wrap it
signing
up.
out.
Cheers.
Cheers.